Welcome back to Lergle Stories. My name's Logan. I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to be continuing reading from Anthony Ant by Linda Dennis. Last time we heard about how Anthony Ant got an important new job and met the Queen Anastasia. So we're going to keep reading and find out how he gets on. Exciting. Big thank you, as always, to Austin Macauley Publishers for giving us permission to read this book today. Remember to subscribe to Lergle Stories if you haven't already, so that you don't miss any further stories. They'll pop up on the homepage every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Apart from today, this is a special one because it's Saturday. So, let's begin. Chapter 3. The Challenges. The first few weeks of being a special soldier were full of challenges for Anthony. He had to be strong. He had to take charge of situations. And he had to guide and sometimes order other ants to do certain jobs. The new trainee soldier ants had to have a weekly meeting with Special Advisor Aaron Ant, so that he could talk to them and check they were all working to the best of their ability and taking on full responsibility for the tasks that they had been assigned. Anthony always wrote down everything in his special pocketbook so he could refer to it and check the notes about his duties at any time. Some of the other soldiers were not as organized as this and had made mistakes, failing to carry out their tasks correctly. Special Advisor Aaron Ant had warned these soldiers that mistakes would not be tolerated and they would lose their privileged job as a special soldier. That's a bit hard for me to say. Special soldier. The specialist advisor regularly praised Anthony for his good work and organization. This did not go down very well with some of the other soldier ants, and at times there was an uncomfortable feeling in the weekly meetings. I think they're a bit jealous. There were a couple of soldier ants that really had enough of Mr. Know-It-All Anthony Ant and were up for revenge big time. They were called Adam and Alex Ant. They had been best friends since their school days and had been partners in crime, so to speak, and went everywhere together. They were both strong and powerful ants who regularly worked out in the gym and ran 10 kilometers every week. They both had trained at the karate club for several years and had achieved black belts, so they were the pride of the club and its members. They sound very strong to me. Most of the other ants kept their distance from them as they were not particularly friendly and had a habit of making fun and smirking at others' attempts to compete against them. That's not being a very good sport. This was not very sporting, and they were viewed as arrogant, aloof, and alienating. Adam and Alex Ant had a plan. It was because they were so arrogant and aloof that they considered themselves able to pick on and cause problems for the very noble and fair-minded Anthony Ant. They had watched him for weeks, carrying out his duties, with his little pocketbook always by his side or carefully concealed in his back pocket. They were sick of his constant note-taking at meetings and double-checking of all the details with Special Advisor Aaron Ant before writing in his notebook. What is this idiot doing every week, wasting all their time, constantly checking every detail? They moaned. Special Advisor Aaron Ant seemed to delight in explaining everything further. He would push back his shoulders, thrust out his chest, and throw back his head, as if to make him seem taller and more important. Adam and Alex Ant were about to stir up trouble. They'd had enough and decided to get the support of other ants too. I smell trouble. Chapter 4: The Meeting. Secretly, Adam and Alex Ant called a special meeting with some of their worker ant mates. A couple of these were cleaners in the colony, and another two were foragers who collected food outside the colony. They weren't proper mates of Adam and Alex Ant, just acquaintances really. That's if you don't know someone very well. They had been involved in some of their past misdemeanors and were happy to help them out if necessary for a few favours. The meeting was called for the following Saturday night. It was to take place in a small back room at Adam Ant's quarters, which was situated at the furthest end of the colony, closest to the tree stump. The main colony was underneath the tree stump, but was deep and spread out a long way amongst the tree roots. The Queen's quarters were at the opposite end and were the deepest of all. This was because the Queen needed maximum protection. And also, this was where the nurseries were housed to look after all her eggs and baby ants. Special nurses took care of all this section 24/7. It was maximum security here too, and the special soldier ants had to be on red alert at all times. That's because there's a lot of animals who really like ant eggs. Incidentally, the largest ant colony ever found was, wait for it, 3,750 miles wide. This one certainly wasn't that large, but ant colonies can be extremely large. The time of the special meeting was 6 p.m. and could not last too long, as all those involved still had their duties to do before the end of the night shift. At Adam Ant's quarters, the bright red arched front door opened with a creak, and in scurried 5 ants in black hoodies. They were Alex Ant, 2 ant foragers, and 2 cleaner ants. All kept their hoods up, as they could not risk being seen by anyone. Even a passing insect might overhear, and if it was not devoured immediately, it could use the information that was about to be discussed against them in exchange for its life. So all of them were keeping an extra eagle eye out for anything untoward in the room. Adam Ant directed his partners in crime to the back of the room. There was a small oval table and 6 chairs, just enough for all to be seated comfortably and to see each other clearly in the light of the small candle. The candle seemed to be quivering erratically with the uncertainty as to what was going to happen next. Adam Ant leant forward and hung his head over the table, creating a huge shadow and dimming the light somewhat. The others also leant forward so they could hear precisely what was about to be said. It was dim and deadly silent. Not a single sound could be heard. The hearts of the ants were pounding, both with fear and excitement of what was coming. Incidentally, ants' hearts are quite different to human hearts, in that they are shaped like a long tube. The tube pumps colourless blood from the ant's head back to the rear of the ant and then back up to the head. Therefore, the sound of the ant's heart pounding may have been more of a gushing in reality. Adam Ant took a deep breath. We have got to stop Anthony Ant from making a fool out of us all. I have thought about this long and hard, and I know exactly what will cause him confusion and panic. It will hopefully put a stop to him behaving like Mr. Know-It-All. Adam Ant cast his big, brown, beady eyes on all the ants sitting around the table. He suddenly held his gaze, staring determinedly ahead. He smiled broadly and shouted at the top of his voice, "The wretched pocketbook!" The ants around the table looked at each other in surprise and kept muttering the words, "the wretched pocketbook," to each other, not realizing the significance of these words. Alex Ant certainly did realize the significance and gave a big, cheesy grin, showing several rotting teeth due to his love of plant sap. He punched the air with his fist and shouted, "Yes!" Smirking from ear to ear, Adam and Alex Ant sat with their partners in crime to plan their next move. They explained in detail the significance of the pocketbook and how Anthony Ant totally relied upon the pocketbook for his day-to-day routines and collection of important information. If he were somehow to lose this, there could be a total catastrophe. What would happen to Mr. Super Efficiency then, I wonder? Gloated Adam Ant with a wry smile. I think Anthony Ant is about to find out, he laughed. The discussion around the table continued for a few minutes, and then Adam Ant set a time and date for the plan meeting, where everyone would be told what to do. It was actually to be held in a couple of days' time. Meanwhile, Adam and Alex Ant would have to hatch the plan, so to speak. I do not like the sound of this. I think that Adam and Alex Ant are being rather cruel to Anthony Ant. It's a very good idea to carry notes around with you when you've got such an important job. And if the other ants don't do that, then that's their fault. It's not Anthony's fault. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. I'm on Anthony's side. I hope he wins. That's all for now. We'll read the next 2 chapters on Monday as usual. See you next time.